Read an article this morning. I really wanted to get into it. This is an interesting article done on Mlive. Kyle Meinke, the author there, one of the beat writers for the Detroit Lions, and he did a Q&A, a lot of interesting answers that he had there. Wanted to discuss this because why not on a Wednesday? But before we get into today's video, if you are not a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We appreciate all the subscribers on Lions Nation Unite. It would be an absolute honor for you to join the team. With that said, let's get this intro going. So go ahead first off, if you want to rate it yourself, go to Ask Kyle. It is there under Mlive for Lions Draft Jared Goff's replacement. That is the title of this article. And we're just going to go over it because I thought it was really, really interesting here. Now, basically, it's a Q&A session with Kyle Meinke. A lot of people ask him questions, and it's a lot about the quarterback position in the draft, as it always is. And he gave interesting answers for some of these questions here. Now, one of the questions was, do you believe that quarterback is a big need as the Detroit Lions seem we think? Watching other teams play, you start to realize there aren't that many quarterbacks that are elite like fans think. And Kyle says, yes, the short answer is a quarterback is a need. And he says, obviously, teams like the Carolina Panthers or the Pittsburgh Steelers, Atlanta Falcons, the Detroit Lions have better option at quarterback. You throw in Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, others such as there. But he believes that Jared Goff, what we've seen in that game against the Buffalo Bills at the end there, is why you should get another quarterback. Josh Allen scores a touchdown, and Jared Goff does not. So we can debate this all. I'm just going over this article to share it with you because I thought it was very interesting. Now, DJ Chark was wide open on the sideline, and he missed the go-ahead touchdown. And a lot of people did analyze the fact that DJ Chark did run the correct route. I still believe Jared Goff had a good game there. Not everything's his fault. I think it does get overblown sometimes when everybody believe Jared Goff is the problem for every single issue. But I do think, he is a quarterback that's not perfect for sure. And there is other quarterbacks better than he is. Again, I give him a mid quarterback ranking around there. There's quarterbacks that are worse and there's quarterbacks that are better. It just really depends. Do you think that the Lions got a quarterback right now that can take you to the playoffs, win playoff games, take you to a Super Bowl? Is Jared Goff that guy? Another question asked, do you view the Rams' first-round pick, if it continues to move higher? Do you take Bryce Young if he's there? Do you trade for more assets? Do they go defense? Holmes, an ideal spot to significantly improve the team. He says, surely he has not imagined this, Brad Holmes, about having a top 3 draft pick when they made the trade. Obviously, I don't think anybody thought the Rams would be in this position, but we are. He says, which could be turned into the best quarterback, not named Bryce Young. So if Bryce Young is not there, you could take a quarterback, CJ Stroud, or any other quarterback that they feel is there, or any pass rusher, like, obviously, Will Anderson, like Jalen Carter, who I really do like. I think Jalen Carter is amazing. Then they asked about using the 2 first-round picks on defense in the draft, letting Holmes have another season to build the rest of the roster, and then pulling a San Francisco trade multiple firsts like they did with Trey Lance. Better option than getting a Stroud or a Levi. So we take the first-round picks, we go defense, and then following year, 2024, take the quarterback. A lot of people like that idea. It is a sound option for the Lions. He says, sure, it's possible. Just comes down to evaluation. This is an answer I really thought was interesting. If they don't think the quarterback available to them in this year's draft that are the guy, then there's no sense of pulling the trigger. 100% agree with that. I always talk about that. You feel that there is a quarterback that is not the guy, don't do it. They already have Goff. Goff has his limitations, sure, but he's better than average quarterback than they get with that. No sense in pulling a trigger on another quarterback you think doesn't have a higher ceiling than that. If that's the case, sure, table the quarterback for another season. But then he talks about the flip side, and this one's very interesting. The conversation, we push the timeline of the Lions even further into the future. Because unless a new quarterback is a unicorn, he's probably going to need some time on the bench first, then some time on the field after that before he starts his stride. So if you table the quarterback until the following draft in 2024, that guy may not be ready to play until 2025, by which time you'll be in year 5 of this regime. Better get the pick on board as soon as possible. That's why he mocked Justin Fields 2 years ago. But they're in a solid enough position they don't have to pull the trigger unless they're in love with the guy. But once they do fall in love with the guy, they should do whatever it takes to get him immediately. So if they were not to draft a quarterback this year and you go in 2024, he'd be correct. It probably wouldn't be available till year 5 of the rebuild. Is that something a lot of people is willing to wait for? I don't know if that is something that this regime would be willing to wait for, because that's a long time. Because that means you'd have Jared Goff for another 2 years and fully go with his contract. Would that help out regarding free agency? Because his cap hit, $30 million is a lot. Do you restructure? I don't know. That is questionable. Questionable decision. Obviously, doesn't necessarily mean they don't have a new quarterback. You always find out in free agency or trade, like we've seen other teams too. But again, if you do a trade, you're losing a ton of draft picks, which hurts teams, and free agency not necessarily work out too well. We've seen it work sometimes before, but we've seen a lot of times where it's a disaster. Worked out before. Peyton Manning, disaster. We've seen it with Indianapolis the last couple of years. It's one of those where you don't have the guy, your team struggles, issues there. Talk about Ben Johnson getting a head coaching job. I agree with them. Sure, worried about him getting the head coaching job, but at the same time, it's just 1 year. We'll see. If I'm a owner of a team or a general manager, I'd like to see at least 2 years of that. But yeah, I am worried that we lose him for sure. That's not something that you want to do. Brad Holmes, in 2023, free agency in the draft. Talking about we have an opportunity now to really get better in free agency. Do you think they're going to be more improved and to go a little bit more all in this offseason and compared to the rest? And he does. He's talking about the draft picks, how they worked out well. And, he talked about a lot of good things that he's done in the draft, but he also feels that the Lions will be more involved this offseason in free agency, acquiring better talent, not just one-year wonders or one-year deals, but bigger talent for the Lions, help out on defense, and build this team with higher talent in free agency than we've done in the last 2 years. And I think 100% I agree with that. Absolutely. We didn't really have a whole lot of money in free agency before, but this is a different now. Year 3, you want to compete for the NFC North. He talks explicitly about that. That's the expectations. Completely 100% agree. I am fully on board with that with Kyle Monkey. And it's also talking about the running back position with Swift, Williams, and Jackson. I've been saying this for a while that Jamal Williams is the more reliable running back. He's a guy you can rely on. Is he the most dynamic running back? Absolutely not, but he's the most reliable one. And Kyle Monkey agrees with that and agrees that they're probably going to draft a running back. So same thing that we've been talking on my channel, that the Lions will probably draft a running back. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to get a running back early in the draft. You can still find some quality running backs in other rounds, but maybe DeAndre Swift may not be here next year. Question here regarding him, and again with that third pick in the draft. Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, assuming both will be there for the Rams pick from Travis_D. Who do you take? Kyle Monkey says, I'll take door 3, best quarterback available. This is something that we've seen with Dave Burkett, now Kyle Meinke, talking about they could take a quarterback at 3, and it may not be Bryce Young. So that'd be a CJ Stroud, Will Levis, unless somebody else rises up there that they want to get a quarterback in this year's draft. Look, if you're pro Goff, if you're not pro Goff, that's not what this video is about. It is giving you the idea of what some of these beat writers believe. What do I think about it? When the season is over, when free agency is over, I can give you a really good look of what I think the Lions should do, whatever picks they got in the first round. Always willing to wait because we don't know what's going to happen in free agency yet, what they're going to address. And it'll give you a better idea of what they're going to do in the draft. You can look then at the cap situation. Once you look at the cap where they're spending their money, we can give you a definitive answer. But when it comes to the draft, for me, I'm always best player available. I think that's the best option. If there is no quarterback you think is a franchise guy, do not select one. If you believe there is, you do select one. That is my philosophy. If you think that one of these guys can elevate this team to that next level, then you take it. But if not, Jalen Carter's pretty good. Will Anderson's pretty good. I think Jalen Carter would really solidify this defensive line in a massive way. It would be really good to have a guy who can play upon this defensive line and really help out the rest of this team. And Will Anderson is one of the best players in the draft. He would be absolutely epic alongside Aiden Hutchinson. So I think we're in a good spot. We still got to wait a couple more weeks till the season is over, see where the Rams last we pick. But I love seeing what the beat writers are saying, what they're believing. They're really close to the organization. And I do like the takes of Dave Burkett. Kyle Meinke's pretty good as well. There's some other guys. Justin, I like his takes. But, hey, there you go, folks. That's what their thoughts on this. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Check it out on Mlive. That is their article that he did today. Rate it yourself. Put your thoughts in the comment section regarding the Q&A session. With that said, folks, adios.
Perfect.